greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Yes, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. I'm your host V. And yes, things are moving right along. Finished up the documentary series. Put the link into the show right here. Sorry, it's only on Facebook. God-forsaken Facebook. But we're having tougher censorship issues with YouTube. Surprise, surprise. So we're going to get that whittled down, and then I can have more official links that can go everywhere very soon. So I'm going to keep this brief because I'm going to be presenting a guest host today. There's a lady who was being trafficked by the government, and I myself did not have the opportunity to interview this lady, but her close contact, Melo, was a very good friend of hers and is a child rights activist. So I went ahead and let her take the reins. So please enjoy this and learn what you can to not be a victim of this government corruption.
So what we did was I had to hide what I look like right now, and because whether I look the same or not, we don't want them to know.
Right.
And I may not, but I may not. So that way it's easier for me to transport me to go from place to place. And like I said, if they weren't in Los Angeles, that would be better, but or even meeting you down the road for another one somewhere else, and then or doing Zoom, like you said, a Skype, where I go somewhere else and you film me through their angle. I've done that before. So I had to do that with ICE. I had to do it with ICE, where I was on camera and telling the story. There was only the court story and the methodology, and then they took that and they had like an earpiece, and the State Department people were asking me questions from the ICE people, and I had to answer questions reading my white paper. So I had to do.
Okay, but so when was that? When did ICE interview you, and what have they done so far?
I had a case opened in 2015.
Okay.
And those were with I've been a client of a State Department, like they have an anti-trafficking organization. It's someone who was pretty high level, took a ring down, and then they partnered with another rescue organization that were ex-CIA, and they were ex-SEAL Team, Delta Force. And then they partnered in turn with a genealogical organization. They partnered with another consulting organization, and they partnered with a funding organization, which was working with the government anti-trafficking group called CERTEC and WFM. And they were underneath the now ambassador to China, Governor Branstad. I was their client for a couple, 3 years.
Okay, so now this was 3 years ago. Now, any logical person at this point in game would have said, what has happened in 3 years and why has any of this not been done? You have all these organizations CIA, all this genealogical. I mean, in 3 years, don't tell me that they haven't done anything yet.
Well, this is what happened. Let me tell you why. What we found out is that the CEO of the funding organization, we found out, sold out and played both sides, got the ICE people moved, got their jobs, got them moved, and then he found out that then he actually handed me over, physically set me up a few times in a safe house that wasn't really a safe house, and with somebody I knew, which you don't do that after I've been safe housed with government employees. That didn't make sense. So
Wait a minute, they saved house you with government employees?
Right, they did. And then then when he tried, the CEO basically sold me out and puts me with somebody that's connected to me, which is illegal to do when you have an anti-trafficking organization. And he sets me up. He says, "Well, we're too compromised now. They know about us, so we got to move you off of any of our bases or our safe houses that we partner with." It was a setup. And thank God that person used to work with John Coleman. Everybody knows. Rich knows him, John Coleman. This person did white papers for John Coleman for 7 years. That's why I survived. And then next thing, when that didn't work, then they straight point blank, he assaulted me, the CEO did, physically assaulted me, and handed me over to the trafficking or the people in the ring. I recognized even from the people in law enforcement who kidnapped me with the people in Alabama and connected to people in California in that UTH ring. I escaped, and as of late July, that CEO is dead.
He's
He
dead?
had a heart attack.
He's so-called had a heart attack?
I'm sorry?
So that CEO is now dead?
Yes, that's correct. July 25th of this year.
July 25th, that wasn't long ago.
Right. And I had reported him to federal auditors that were going after him for embezzlement. And so I reported them. I reported him and his assistant, Jessica Jensen. There was Rick Lombard, and I reported them to federal auditors that were under the governor of that state, under the now ambassador to China, Governor Branstad, because I was their client. And so was Jonah on this case. It was the highest level case they've ever had, they said.
Okay, so what was that person related to China? What was his name again?
They worked for, this is who they worked under, just so you understand what that deal was.
Explain that.
They worked under, this person was actually, he was the international executive director for the governor, this is out of Des Moines, Iowa, for the, Governor Branstad was the governor, but he was in the middle of basically being promoted to the ambassador to China.
Ambassador to China. We've been getting a lot of, China drops.
Is involved, right? And what's interesting too is this Lombard guy did the entire network for all the police departments. Did literally created the entire network for communications network. Okay, for the entire state of Iowa and for Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Another.
Saudi Arabia. Yep.
Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So he had connections to a body with the IMF and Christine Lagarde. Also
IMF.
with the IMF.
You're dropping a lot of bombs here.
Right.
How was he connected to the IMF?
He was connected to the IMF through working during the entire internet, the entire network for the country of Saudi Arabia through I think it was one of their main locations, and Jordan too. There was 2 locations, one in Jordan, one in I think it was Oman is where it was. Oman, wherever that is. I'm not sure if it's Jordan or Saudi Arabia, but I just remember that being one of the main places he had connections. And then of course he had at one point in time they even wanted to move me to China, which was really scary.
They wanted to move you to China. Oh my God. You know,
Right, and
my
I already-
ex-husband wanted to relocate us to China like 2 years before he did the drop on me. And I had this very bad feeling that said, if I ever had to go through a divorce in China, I'd probably be found dead somewhere. China has no, I mean, women have no rights there. So if anything would have happened to me during my divorce, I would be in China. I'm like, my God, I'd be locked up and throw away the key. Nobody would ever find me. So that was
Well,
good that you didn't go there. I mean, why would they want you,
No.
why would they want you to go to China of all places?
What they did was they also had, besides an international anti-trafficking organization.
Say that
they
again.
also
I didn't
had-
get the name, Tammy. What was that name? Or what?
Their names were WFM
WM
International.
WM
W is in wind, F is in fire, M is in mission ministry.
Ministry. So now we got the Catholic Church or the diocese or what?
Right. So let me go into that a little bit too. So it turned out that they also had a ministry where they did big mission trips worldwide too. Okay. So they had safe houses outside the country connected to Venezuela, like South America, Central America. Their main one was in Belize. I was on their Sandfield, Belize base for a long time in Central America. So they had a lot of mission trips that would go down there. They were connected to their sister church to, besides having an anti-trafficking organization, and besides having working for, they were state employees, like government, federal really is what they really are, federal employees.
They're
working
federal
under
employees,
Brandstaff.
but they're federal employees of what department?
They were federal employees under Governor Brandstaff in the
Governor
communications
Brandstaff.
department.
In the what
Yeah.
department?
And the communications for the state
Communications.
out of Des Moines,
Of Des Moines?
Iowa. It's the capital of Iowa.
Okay.
And then of course, Governor Brandstaff became the ambassador to China during that time.
What year are we talking about, Tammy?
We're talking about the years, I was first their client beginning in September of 2014 and up until August of 2016.
Okay, 14 to 16, that's 2 years already.
Almost over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
Almost 3.
Oh, almost 3. And this case on your child being Jonah, when he was kidnapped, what year was that?
November, the third kidnapping that he went through 3 kidnappings.
3
I want to
kidnappings.
make that very clear.
All right, so
Kidnappings.
3 kidnaps. In other words, it's not even kidnapped, it's trafficking. Let's use the real word.
Trafficking.
It's a child
Yeah,
trafficking case, and it's an international trafficking case. What was the first
so-
time?
The first time, let me just say this right. The third time became the international kidnapping and trafficking out of the United States on November 5th, 2012. Let me just say that first.
Yeah,
Answer your
November.
first question.
That was the
Yeah.
international part, and the other 2 before that was local kidnapping.
Right, with federal kidnapping, because when you go over state lines, I learned that that's becomes federal. So when they kidnapped him out of the state of Alabama, which was our home residence, our domicile, since the end of March of 2008, we had been residents of the state of Alabama, and he was kidnapped. Finally, they did the paperwork without me knowing it. They fraudulently created a secret hearing on October 15th, 2010, without my knowledge, and then they solidified that paperwork on November 3rd, 2010.
Okay, what
And then
court
they put-
though? They did this ex parte type of hearing,
Exactly. Yeah,
but
that's right. The whole
what
case-
courthouse? We need to know specifics. What courthouse?
Okay. They did this out of the Vista, San Diego, North County courthouse.
Okay, Vista, North County Courthouse. In case,
Right.
your interview today is a little bit off and the sound is whatever. I want to repeat certain things that you're saying just to make sure that it's always clear.
Okay.
And what state was this in?
They did the secret hearing of which I was in divorce court, didn't know that.
Okay, now don't say that because people will get the wrong picture because I know this. But people out there that are going to be listening and watching it, you weren't married, were you, Tammy?
No, I've never been married in my life to anybody to this day.
Okay,
No.
so now you got pregnant. Do you know the father of your Jonah?
I do, and he's somebody I've known like most of my life in my childhood that we grew up together.
Now, is he been told about what happened with Jonah?
He has. I don't know the extent because there's issues there, which I don't want to go into right now.
Okay.
There's other issues there.
Okay, so let's just make this clear. You know the father of Jonah, but you've never married him. So the person who did take your child, basically, who kidnapped your child, and then federally kidnapped your child, and then internationally kidnapped your child. Is it the same person, or was it several different groups of people?
It's the biological father of my son has nothing to do with this case. He's not even involved. The person who created a deceptive scheme was somebody by the name of Sullivan with a transgender man by the name of Glazer, aka Wallet.
Glazer, wait a minute, say the name slowly. So we just wanted to get this clear. A person who kidnapped your son is not the father. Absolutely not.
Correct.
It's just some stranger, but you do have his name. And what was his name?
His name is the man who faked did the kidnapping. The fake guy who pretended to be the father to kidnap my son through government-sponsored kidnapping. His name is. There's two of them. They work together. There's two people I want to say.
There's two.
They work together as one. And it was a man named. This is named Brian Sullivan.
Brian Sullivan.
And a man named. There's a real man.
Okay.
Transgender man.
A transgender man now. Okay.
And I'm going to tell you his name and the name he goes by in the court.
Okay. So there's an
His
AKA.
real name, right. His name is Dennis or Denny.
Dennis or Denny.
Nolan.
What is it?
Yes, Denny Nolan,
Nolan.
which is a foster care child, but he's also Denny Wallach.
He's also Denny Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a foster care? He's actually a foster care. He was in the foster care system.
Correct, that's right. And he actually used an alias in the case by the name of Denise Lynn Glazer.
Denise Len Glazer. That's his transgender female name.
Correct.
All right. So we've got two strangers, completely not related to you in any way possible, goes to some court in your state or in another state?
No, in a state. Let me make this very clear too. This man, the Sullivan guy, is the main guy they used in the beginning.
Okay.
And he's a resident of Colorado. He domiciled in Colorado to this day. So he's not even a resident. He goes into California.
Okay,
Mind
so
you,
California.
Right. Yeah. Right. I used to live there, but I moved fair and square when my baby was
Hey,
3
listen,
years.
I lived in New York too in the 80s. I don't live there anymore. It doesn't mean some court and some stranger can go run into New York and go to some family court and say he's my husband and I want custody of this kid. I mean, it doesn't matter if I lived there in the 80s. It doesn't matter if you used to live there. We don't live there anymore.
Exactly.
You know, and I live in Germany, in Munich since 1994 to 2011. I came back. I didn't have any domicile, neither did my separated husband at the time, to come into Rhode Island, go to a judge and say, hey, judge, I want custody of my kids, and neither one of us live here in this country.
Correct.
So, I mean,
That's what's really,
this is all illegal.
right. So that's what's important in my case is that neither party, myself or this fake guy. Now I didn't know him. I dated him for like a month and a half or 2 months, and I didn't know him. But the thing is that it was all a setup. I realized that. And that's another part of the case.
Do they call them handlers? Are these the handlers that they show up and they hire people to come around you and try to get involved in your life and become
That's what they
a
did.
partner, and then they're there to
Right.
watch you and get involved in your life,
Right.
track your whereabouts. So he basically was
exactly.
sent in, become your boyfriend or get close to you, and in less
Right.
than 2 months, he's gone with your son.
Right. So he has. So that's exactly. They use another person to get close to me. That basically these guys are all working together. And she was in this ministry, this church I was about to bring up, the sister church to the trafficking organization. Her name is Gina Mish, M-I-S-C-H.
M-I-S-C-H, Gina Mish. So she's in this ministry. That's a
Right.
trafficking
Right.
ring.
Right. She works together with
Oops.
with
Hold on.
Gina Salas.
We got a fire truck going by. I'm videotaping this from a friend's an art studio. It's not my studio that I'm doing, so it's like fire truck stuff. So you've got this woman around you now. Is she friends or somehow with this guy who's now in your life? Let's call him the handler, Brian Sullivan.
She sticks up for him, and she literally basically discredits me. I found out, and she had been for almost the entire case, like back to 2010, for the second federal kidnapping of my son from Alabama to California in 2010.
So she keeps
So when I
showing
mentioned
up.
that,
She keeps showing up. You don't even know her, but yet she's involved everywhere you turn, right?
No, I knew her. I did know her. I knew her way before I had a child. I knew her in ministry is how I knew her. What she never disclosed to me, and we found out, I think it was last year, through some of the different teams working together, that she admitted being an actual CPS worker for the last 15 years.
Okay, so literally,
Now this year.
here we go, CPS. We got this big thing that we're trying to expose. It's just another organization for kidnapping kids. CPS, DHS, DCYF.
Right.
They keep, whatever, social services, child protection agency. They keep switching their names too from state to state. So she was actually a 15-year CPS worker.
Right.
Under the skies of a ministry. And she was a friend of yours, and yet you didn't know what she did?
No, she basically lied to me and said she was just an analyst for an organization out of San Diego when I first met her, okay, which was called SANDAG. She wrote a business plan for probation for the city of San Diego. And I met her in a ministry in San Diego years before I had my son. And but she pretended to be. We really knew each other in ministry. She pretended to, like I said, be an analyst, for SANDAG in San Diego. What I did not know and what I wasn't aware of, or she basically withheld from me, was that she was friends with the first judge in California, while I lived in Alabama, okay, who Sullivan and this crew, this big ring of people, actually go into. They file not in the juvenile court where my case would normally be. I'm already in Alabama, I'll remind you of this.
Yeah, I know. So these guys are all together. They're in San
They're all
Diego.
together.
They're all together. This person that you thought was a normal friend, she ends up being CPS. This guy shows up in your life, and now they're in front of a court and a judge in San Diego, in a state that you don't even live in. And what are they doing?
Wait, and Sullivan, he doesn't live there either.
Oh, but Sullivan doesn't live there. Does she live there? Is she the only one that lives there?
Let me finish answering the question.
Okay.
So Sullivan is a resident of Colorado Springs, Colorado. However, he owns property in Carlsbad and all over the state of California. Let me just state that, and owns companies there to this day, okay? He did business there.
So he's a businessman.
Correct, okay? And he's involved in this ring. And so he's involved in stealing children through the courts, and I mean up the state and other states outside of California, okay? And there's a reason I know that, so it's not just speculation.
Right. This is not stuff you're just throwing out. You've done how many years of research on this, Tammy?
Well, I've been involved with researchers, counterintelligence people, and even constitutional lawyers down to private attorney generals, to advocates, ADA advocates, media people. This has been going on now since the first research started happening at the end of 2009. So I've had a crash course in this, fast crash course in this whole diabolical scheme to steal children through this government-sponsored system using Title 4D.
Title 4D, government sponsored. Let's say that again, Tammy, so everybody's very clear if they hear this. What have you discovered with all the help of everybody, including government people, CIA, ICE? Say it again. You uncovered.
I uncovered with the help. This is nothing. I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I'm not Columbo here. So I was taught. I forgot to mention forensic people, ICE people, ex-counterintelligence people, also people that were constitutional lawyers, ADA advocates, researchers, regular advocates, and also people that are that work in organizations that are federal government employees. That's who helped me, who taught me, who I've been working with to this day, but starting out with basic advocates from 2009 is how I learned that I'm really a victim, and so is my son, of something called government-sponsored kidnapping through Title 4D.
Title 4D. That's exactly what it is. Title 4D. Everybody's got to start addressing this. Title 4D. I mean, this is it. And this is something that was hidden. And who started the Title 4D, Tammy?
This would be the Clinton administration, and this is the Kids for Cash, No Child Left Behind Act put in place by Bill Clinton during the 80s in one of his first terms. Okay,
so Bill Clinton is the one who put in this Title 4D.
Yes, Kids for Cash.
Kids for Cash. So thanks to the Clintons, now we all know why our kids are all being kidnapped and trafficked and sold and given to pedophiles, fathers, particular, or foster care parents that are pedos. It's Title 4D, and it was Bill Clinton. Illegally adopted out. There's forced adoption too, you know. There's forced. I mean, it's anywhere.
He was done in a forced adoption, a legal black market adoption. Okay, this wasn't foster care he was taken into. It wasn't taken into Mr. Sullivan's house with a bunch of relatives. I want to make that very, very clear. He was done in a way they did a black market adoption to unknown people, random unknown people, which is why he was taken out of the country, so they could literally create a new identity on him. This is a black market ring and a black market adoption that happened to my son, Jonah Earl Reese. I have half the file, so I have names for the very first time. It was flipped to me in 2014, and the person that flipped it to me is now dead also.
Okay, so I mean, this is kind of scary for people that are out there watching this, and it also makes it so much more real that this person is now found dead who slipped you this list. So apparently, you know, this is why you're talking to me on an undisclosed phone number. I have known you personally since 2013, so it's not like you're just some random stranger to me. You and I went back to the Washington, D.C., to Bill Windsor's Lawless America. We both had similar overlaps, and we immediately just got drawn into each other. And everything you were saying to me about your case, I was going, I know, and I was saying, so I mean, you're not some random person. You and I have been together since 2013, and we both tried to go to the FBI in Washington, D.C., and then they kicked me out. And I called you. I'm like, they won't take my report. They got mad at me and then throw me out the window, and they heard my name. That's because they transferred the FBI from Providence up to D.C. so they could stop me from ever going there. I mean, this is how they stop us all. So everybody that's out there thinks you're going to find help in a courtroom. Forget it. Forget it. The system is so broken. This is way beyond your capacity of understanding it. But we need to make sure that we are trying to break this mother of all B, because, Tammy, they wouldn't be coming after you as hard as they are unless you know way too much.
That's exactly what it is. And because they actually even falsely incarcerated me under something called fantasy arrestee human trafficking of women.
What?
And
Fantasy?
yeah.
Say that again? That's a new one for me.
Yes. So what that entails, and this was a way to discredit me, shut me up, because as you know, you met me in Washington, D.C. In 2013, I was being a whistleblower on all of the people involved from the judge in Alabama who was blackmailed by the judge in California. Let me name the two judges, please, and their boss in California. And their boss there's two judges. The first judge was Judge Eugenia Irabaiti, and I didn't get to say the bomb dropper, that she is close friends since 2003 to Gina Mish, the friend in ministry and the CPS worker 15 years. They were close friends. They've been for a long, long time on a board together with Soundag. Second judge was Judge Gregory Pollack, who actually finally did the international kidnapping, along with Sullivan and along with Denny Wallach, Denise Glazer, and along with Jane Wesley Brooks, who is the attorney for Sullivan, managed by Dan Sullivan, another relative of Sullivan, along with Sergeant Timothy Sullivan out of Carlsbad Police Department was involved, and he was the boss of investigator of Carlsbad, Carol Schneider, who worked with a DA that's believed that may have brought her in from North Carolina, her name to cover up the kidnapping, the international kidnapping in North Carolina. The last time I saw my son, November 5th, 2012. So, because it's a third state involved, unfortunately, is what happened. And they were left holding the bag and got duped. They actually knew that later on down the road and sent anything back because they never got any warrants. It's the warrantless kidnapping that they did. There's never any warrant. There's no valid warrant. Never seen it. Never was served upon me, as you have to serve a warrant upon a person under Title 18, subsection 641. So we do know that, as far as the warrant goes, there was something created by Judge Pollack when he sneaks over to a family court on a juvenile case, first of all, sitting in Alabama. I don't have any right to have any case of mine sitting in a family court. That's for under disillusion when I've never been married and I'm not a family case. I'm a Title 4D juvenile case. That's very important to understand. So that's the biggest, that's called RICO and GRICO fraud, RICO and GRICO racketeering.
I knew about RICO, but I didn't know about GRICO.
Yes.
That's new.
Yep, GRICO and RICO racketeering.
Wow.
Correct. On federal level.
Sure, a lot of mothers would want to hear. What does the GRICO mean?
GRICO is basically the type of racketeering. I mean, it's similar to RICO, okay? So you have these crimes. It's actually a federal crime to commit a RICO act or even a GRICO act, okay? And they basically almost go hand in hand. And it's actually a lot of what the mafia or mobsters, shall I say, went down for types of fraud by commission, fraud by omission, which are saying things that are false, falsifying records, falsifying documents. When you have completely, in RICO and GRICO crimes, complete falsified records that are altered, they are falsely created, there's nothing valid about any of them, then that's when you have you have a lot of people involved. When you have that, that's a type of RICO and GRICO racketeering. So, and what it goes down to, in a court situation like mine, you have something called, it stems straight from something, it's a legal term called fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, meaning everything is basically smoke and mirrors. There's nothing valid to even stand on from the get-go in the entire case. That's what a lot of mothers need to start looking at. Go back to the beginning, go back to the start, because that's where the first imperfection of the case will stem from, and at that point, everything falls like dominoes. You can't stand on a house of cards that doesn't have a foundation. Isn't that correct?
Exactly, Tim. That's what I kept saying. Go back to the first week. because that first week is what set the tone for the rest of what you're dealing with. You can't even go against what you get slam baked with tons of new stuff. But the thing is that is already false, based on false. So the only thing you can go back to is what happened in the first week. And the moment I did that to my case, which took 7 years for me to do, I found out, it was a violation of due process, and it shouldn't have even been open in the first place. So that's your response. Go back to the first week. Everything else that happened after that, it doesn't matter, because none of that is valid if you go back to the first week and you get rid of what happened then. Everything else is all fake. It's all fraud.
Correct.
It's all illegal orders. It doesn't matter what they did after. The fact is that everything shouldn't have happened in the first place. So when it's fraud, it's fraud.
That's
So
correct. Right. So RICO and GRICO goes back to having everything be fraud and be void ab initio, because even at the time when they did what they did out in California, I had to protect myself and filed in Alabama, and that just before he was blackmailed and before he basically started working in collusion with them. 3 years later, might I add, almost 2.5 to be exact. He actually was protecting us because he knew we were valid residents, and I was being quote unquote strong-armed. So we were validly sitting in our home state and filed in the right division of juvenile court, however, not in the right Title 4D division. I didn't know that. So that's another little defect in that case in Alabama. So that meant California had no jurisdiction. They never did.
that's even common sense. Second is that doesn't a judge turn around and say, hey, you're the biological father, where's the mother? So this transgender faked it like as if she was the mother. So why would they even bother to be in front of a court asking for custody if it's the real father? So
well, you have to understand too, let me just say this, very important part of the case.
Right.
See, since Alabama was the only valid jurisdictional venue for the case, because we were Title 4D, we should have been in a Title 4D court, actually. It was called Children's Court in Alabama with DHR as our attorneys, like not giving out any money. And so that meant there had to be a paternity trial, okay? And you have to, when a paternity trial, they have to do 3 tests, 2 being swab, 1 being blood. And so when that doesn't, that's literally what has happened. The judge opens the results. It doesn't get sent to your house like, some identigene, go down to the CVS pharmacy like the Sullivan guy did with his brother, the transgender man, and said, hey, let's swap our DNAs and make it, and we'll look like, and we'll put it down as father and son. That's what they did in California, and said, no, I did DNA. It's right here. I got it in my back pocket. It doesn't work like that. That's another form that lands under RICO fraud, okay, and RICO violations. So, that's absolutely illegal. It has to be a federally recognized DNA company, and Identigene is nowhere near that. Matter of fact, they got sued for fraud and they're out of business not long after 2009. So that shows you right there that these guys were literally, they thought it was going to be a slam dunk. They thought they could just do some quick, complete, childish, completely idiotic, test. It was just silly. So, it's almost laughable is the truth. So that never happened. We've never had a paternity trial in the state of Alabama to this day because they, 2.5, almost 3 years later, took a bribe and they moved everything into divorce so that the Medicaid Title 4D agency of DHR wouldn't know to do a paternity trial, thinking my name was Tam Marion Sullivan with my son's literally Social Security number, thinking I was married also when I was not. And my name is not Tam Marion. I've never had that name. We ran it through Montgomery, through federal representatives there.
Tammy, wait. Tammy, I got to interrupt you here. You just lost me. So if you lost me, you're going to lose everybody else. Somehow now you're saying from between the time that in San Diego that these two, one transgender, Brian, and the other woman, what was her name, or she went under, they took this test that from CVS and put it in front of a judge and says, we're the parents, but even a logical person, a judge, wouldn't say, well, why, if you're the parent, then why? Oh, so you're saying that they went through it like this, an adoption? Like, did they show up as a foster and they used that lady as the CPS person?
Right. We don't know exactly what how they did all the
Well,
paperwork
that makes sense, because anybody that's going to try to, well, first of all, second of all, why would they even try to prove that they are the parent by showing a DNA test? But then you got the CPS woman there. I mean,
right. So it gets worse. You understand that wasn't.
I mean, even that's common sense. Why would a judge say, "Why are you asking me for custody?" There was no judge. Oh, okay. Now we're getting it, because I'm confused.
They didn't do it in front of any judge.
Oh, they
That's what
didn't.
you're missing. No. They came in after they pulled this stunt and so they came into the next part A and said, "Here, Judge, I got the results right here." Results of what? There was no hearing before then. How did they get a result? Well, I went to CBS Pharmacy, I did my own box test. So the judge says, "Okay, that's great. Well, wait, the judge doesn't have jurisdiction to determine anything, and they didn't have a paternity trial." So, you see what I'm saying? There's nothing like, there's not done in
Okay,
court.
now I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a paper trail
Right. To make it look like,
to make it look like you don't know what you're talking about, and also to somehow find a way to cover their butts.
right.
If
Yeah,
somebody
I know all
would
that
come
back
in and start looking around and getting fishy, they need at least some kind of paperwork, because they know, I mean, family courts are not obligated. They're in a life of their own. Even juvenile court,
Right.
they have absolutely immunity from the government. So, and we just found that out too, since
Well, let me
1980
tell you
some.
the clincher. How they covered it up when the State Department started looking into it when I met you in D.C. in 2013. How they covered it up, and I did not know this for years, okay? How they did it was they used other cases, other mothers' cases that were Title 4D, that Sullivan got custody of these other children. He actually married those women, and so they made it look like I was that mother and that I had 3 other children and my son too.
Oh my God, this gets even huge, even more like bizarre. People don't get that this happens. He was
Right.
married to other women, and then at the same time, and you're one of those 3, but your name is not the name that they claim. And Jonah
Right, so-
apparently is the son of one of those women.
Right, that's exactly what they tried to make it look like.
Oh my God,
So
I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
because I mean, trying to explain this, because it gets so entangled with so many lies upon lies and paperwork
Right,
here.
convoluted.
I know my case is very similar. I mean, one story here, one story in Germany. I mean, literally, it took 1 year for one lawyer just to even read through the paperwork. And at the end, she's like, "This is incredible. This is just so bizarre." I mean, because the lie and it's mixed between lie and truth, and then everything is based on a lie from another country to another country, and then they base that on that lie. I mean, it just keeps going back and forth. So now,
Right. Let me just say this, if I may interject. So what they do is they look for vulnerable people who, are laymen of the law. Like, I didn't know any of these things back. I didn't know what I'm telling you right now. I just knew something was wrong. I didn't know how in the world this could happen. So they knew they were taking advantage of somebody who was absolutely, completely in the dark and clueless. And what they would do is, when I would come into the clerk's office, it was like winking at another clerk, at the business office, and they'd be like, "Oh, sure. Oh, yes, Mrs. Reed, sure, here's your file." And it would be my regular file that says I'm not married. It's normal that this is, but when I would leave, then they would switch it back, and they would hide it under numerous cases. The attorneys I had were all in on it. They knew that they had filed the entire case in a divorce court when I've never been married.
how did you end up finding out? I mean, I believe you, because it happened to me. It happened to me, and they wouldn't give me my file. And come to find out years later, when I went back, you should see the stacks of stuff that every time I went to the courtroom, like, is there anything that I don't know about or whatever? They'd say, no, nothing. And you should see the loads of filings that he did that I was never acquired to. I didn't even know existed. So, Tammy, So they switched it, and yes, I had attorneys too that basically sold me out because, of course, my ex had more money. In fact, I had none.
Right.
So it was very
Yeah.
easy to come in and pay your lawyers to turn a blind eye, and they do it
Exactly what
all
they did.
the time. That's why I
All the
don't
time.
trust
That is what they did.
any of them. Any of them. No lawyer. Don't even. That's why you start becoming pro se and you start learning to investigate yourself, because otherwise nothing's ever going to get done, because you cannot trust
Right.
anybody, anyone.
Right. And how I got the documents, I have numerous cases that that from the very get-go, my case got filed under. And I mean, literally to the point where I have somebody, and I'm not going to say how or what, but I got those files of the other cases, and with my name on it, their case number, and the other cases. And so it was like, it was such a, and I didn't get that until, gosh, it probably wasn't until late mid 2012, and then into 2013 would I get my hands, did I understand what they were doing or what happened to me.
Yeah, they do it behind the scenes. You can't fight something that you don't know that it's there. How can you fight something unless you know what you're fighting against? You can't. So time goes on. So you got somebody to sneak in and get the file?
I'm not going to get into how or what.
I figured
I got it.
had to be. You had to pull a fast one while they weren't expecting you.
Something like that.
Yeah, I've done it too, so I know what's the only way to. You send someone else in on your behalf. That's how they get it. Exactly, because they're not expecting it's you that they can't give it to, but it doesn't mean they can't give it to somebody else. They're not going to expect that. Good job, Tammy. All right, let's get on to the next thing now, because this is serious, and we're trying to figure out if we can get some real smart cookies out there that can help us crack this case. Go ahead.
Right. So another thing that's interesting too in the case is that they end up. I even had a case open after the second kidnapping of my son from Alabama to California. I have to go there to a fight for him. I don't know that I should be filing in, a federal case right then and there. I just didn't know. So I go there, just being clueless and fighting for my son. And the strange thing is that through that process, I find out, wait, you're Title 4D. I actually get orders, and this is not known, but I actually get orders from somebody up in Sacramento that says, hey, you're a Title 4D case. You can't even be in that. That's not even a valid court. Why is that going on? This guy doesn't have he's not the father. We have our papers right here. There's been there's nothing from your state of Alabama showing that there was a paternity trial. That guy has that Florida guy, he shouldn't have your son. There's no proof he's anything to your son. We have it right here. This case doesn't even exist here. This is in late 2012. So I find this out, and I have that paperwork now. And so with that said, that's when I started to go, wait a minute, how are they doing this? What's the deal? Then I started to find out that the whole process was a black market adoption. They pegged me, they targeted me at the birth of my son, I find out.
Okay, so this goes back to the birth of your son. You were already targeted.
Right, I was used as a surrogate without my knowledge, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm learning about the players. It turns out that Gina Mish, this friend of mine that I was she was in this ring with her lawyer, Gina Salas. Gina Salas is a partner to Teresa Erickson, who went to prison February of 2012 for black market adoption. And this ring is huge. It goes all the way up to, judges, lawyers. When I was in the district attorney's office in 2011, these people were all the people that actually shut down my case, which was Carol Schneider and some other people like under Bonnie Humanis were involved. Okay, and what ended up happening is I got a case open with the district attorney's office and the San Diego DOJ for the worst quote-unquote legal kidnapping they'd ever seen in the history of a case coming into a child being kidnapped to their state, in California, San Diego. So I have a case open, I have the paperwork, and what ends up happening is this woman named Carol Schneider, she comes out of she deliberately violates her venue and comes down to Central County, from Carlsbad and says, no, this woman screams domestic violence all the time on Mr. Sullivan. She has 3 other kids, and she does this all the time. She's married. And I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, this woman, this is an investigator. This is a law enforcement person, Carol Schneider. Oh my gosh, this is illegal. What is she doing? This is crazy. So she has me. I'm sitting in a room, and I'm up on the 4th floor. It's on 220 West Broadway in San Diego, and District Attorney's office. And she's has me. She has everybody out. She shuts the door. I thought, how does this woman have more clout than over the other DAs, Tamara Diaz and Sonia Marguerite? I'm like, this is weird. How can she just shut down the case like that? And she says to me, and I have it recorded, she says, you know what? She says, you keep going to the FBI. Because she had the FBI involved in my own home state in Alabama, Gadsden. She says, you keep going after this with the FBI, you're never going to see your son again. You'll be lucky if you get 50% back. And that's it. So she threatened me.
Oh my God, wait. You're even talking about she's above Cameron Diaz? Isn't that the famous person that prosecutes the kid? I mean, I was told to even try to get in touch with Cameron Diaz, right? Diaz, what was her name? You mean?
Well, her name was Tamara Diaz, and she was a district attorney. She was a deputy district attorney in 2011 during this time in April in San Diego under Bondi Dumanis.
Right, but there was a lot of publicity on her. I mean, I was even told to call her. I'm like, why would I call somebody in another state? So you're saying that this woman, what was her name again, comes in and threatens you to back off, really?
Her name is Carol Schneider.
Carol Schneider. All right, we got to put out an APB on Carol Schneider. You bad lady.
She's known, actually. I have all kinds of people that came to me afterwards and said that she is in a huge trafficking ring. She's involved in legal kidnappings left and right. I mean, there's even a case that was actually out on the media in 2013, and it was a mom and dad. She was falsely incarcerated, just like she did to me. But she's the one that kidnapped me later on, besides Jonah, over state lines, and has me, literally, does a federal kidnapping of me in 2013 later on. So she's with the abduction unit, okay, is what it is. How she's with the abduction unit, she is a kidnapper. So,
but she works for the government, though.
Right. She's a kidnapper. She's a trafficker is what she is.
Well, but she works for what department?
Well, this is just it. How can she be in Central County, San Diego, out of her venue when her boss is Sergeant Timothy Sullivan at that time in Carlsbad? That's North County, San Diego. How does she come all the way down to South County or to Central County, the main division? It's out of her jurisdiction. It's a violation of protocol.
But the fact that alone that she said that if you don't stop, you're never going to see your son again. In other words, she knows exactly where your son is. So we need to go round her up, tie her to a chair, and force her to give us the information, because she apparently made it very clear to you she knows where your son is.
She does. And let me spell you her last name. I want you to know it's how it's spelled, so everybody knows exactly what her last name is.
Oh, yeah, because I want to put her name all over the place.
Okay, let's spell her first name, because it's Carol, but it's unique. It's Carol with an E at the end of Carol.
An E after Carol. So spell it?
Yes. C like Charlie, A like Apple,
R
like Robert, O like Oscar, L like Larry, E like Edward is the first name. Let me give you the last name. You got that?
So it's Carolyn with an E at the end.
Yeah, just Carol, right, with an E at the end.
Okay, with
now,
a C.
Last name is Schneider.
Schneider.
S like Sam.
S.
N like Nancy. Yeah, N like Nancy.
Yep, N.
Y like yellow.
Y.
E like Edward.
E like Edward.
R like Robert.
R like Robert?
Correct.
But you said Schneider.
German spelling. Schneider.
Oh, German spelling Schneider. All right. Well, Carolyn Schneider, you're now going to be
that
put.
back to me?
Carolyn
Can you repeat?
Schneider. All right, Carolyn, Carolline. Carolyn.
No, not Carolyn. Carol, just Carol. Carole.
Oh, I got
Carol,
it.
just Carol.
Carole. And Schneider is Snider.
No, that's why I wanted to spell it for you.
Okay.
It's S, and that would be a different woman, by the way. There's a woman with that name, and that's not her.
Okay.
Okay? So it's S like Sam,
Yep.
and it's N like Nancy, Y like yellow, E like dog, E like Edward, R like Robert.
Okay, got it. It's Snyder, not Snider. Snyder. Snyder. Got it. Because we don't want to mix it up with another person when whoever it is going to go rope her up. Because, I mean, this is ridiculous. You've got every single department in the United States, just like most of us do, know all about our kids being kidnapped and trafficked, know exactly who did it. And yet there's not one person still in the entire United States, not one, not even Trump or QAnon right now. And this is what's upsetting me a little bit. I'm going to love you all. I love you all. But why is this going on? Why in this entire country, in the United States, there's not one person that we can actually go to get this done, to rescue our kids, to go after the bad guys? Now, this is insane. What year do we live in that we cannot go and find anybody in the entire government level of this entire country? No police. I mean, the police are the ones who actually kidnapped them, right?
Right.
Apparently
That's right.
Sullivan's brother. Okay, so let's say Carol Schneider's, she works for this Sergeant Timothy Sullivan, who you said apparently is the cousin of your kidnapper.
Correct.
I mean, okay, now we got another guy with Sullivan, who's Sergeant Timothy, Sergeant, by the way, Carlsbad. She works for him. She can go into this state and just say whatever she wants, lock you in, throw everybody out the door. She only is working for a sergeant. Well, apparently her level of position seems to be a lot higher than what it seems to be to the general public.
Correct.
So she seems to be the queen bee of child trafficking. Does this trafficking ring have a name?
The child trafficking ring does have a name, and it is under the
Immunified, which means you're immune. They have immunity for prosecution. So nobody in our country, not even Trump, not our Attorney General, not Sessions, not Hoover, you're going to tell me that nobody in this country cares or knows about all this immunified? How come women have lost children or people have had their kids kidnapped happen to know who the bad guys are? Tammy, tell me, why do we happen to know more than the rest of the mass public? Why do we know what's going on and the masses don't?
I believe it's because we are, we're fighting to save our children, and I know that I want to know what happened to me. I want to know really who was behind it, who really did it. This isn't one guy. There was some, Joker out of Batman that I'm fighting. He was alone. This was a group of people that came together. And now I want to know, how did I get targeted? That's the next probable question. How did that happen? And it goes into, wait a minute, this goes into something more vast, where they're targeting people for all kinds of reasons, for trafficking issues. Because Jonah was trafficked, he was put into his photos. So you have exploitation here, you have profiling. Even myself, I ended up in a situation of being literally, it's a type of arrestee, falsely arrested to cover up what happened to my son because I was a whistleblower. So I'm still being hunted because I want to know who they are. I'm digging, and all of you are digging, and we want the answer. So we are not going to stop because we know these children's lives this is my life. He is my life. I don't even care if all the friends and people and family that don't understand I'm embarrassing them. Too bad.
Well, yeah, exactly. Too bad you don't like to hear it. I don't care. They say, oh, you're crazy. It's not. You know what? No, we're not.
Right.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Because guess what? My son or your son is not here. So how could this be crazy? We've gone to these people. We've asked for help. Look what happens. They find a way to arrest you. They threaten you. You're in hiding.
Right.
I mean, we're not done yet, Tammy. This is not the end of your story. Okay?
No, it's not.
Okay, so now you've got a whole other ballgame when you ask your question, who's involved? Why me? This is the next question. What did I do ever wrong? We come from upper class, almost elite families. And we were very successful women. I mean, you were extremely successful. So was I. I was making $300,000 a year. I was a fashion analyst traveling around the world. You know, my life was amazing. I never knew any of this stuff. So you were in the broadcasting and film industry.
Right. I was an art director, and I've been a set decorator and prop master for over 20 years.
Yep.
I have my own business. I was an entrepreneur. I had 3 original locations in a coffee business called Heavenly Perks, and I even had people that actually were very, very. They were even wealthy billionaires that even approached me to run part or to merge my business with theirs under the name Heavenly Perks in 2007. And so obviously I was doing something that was attracting attention as far as my business goes. I mean, my coffee place was something that was put in the newspaper with the Union Tribune, San Diego, way before I had my son. I had UCSB when I did live there, make a documentary of Heavenly Perks. So obviously we were doing pretty well. We had law enforcement. There were a lot of my clients coming through our coffee place. I went to the former Bob Jackson's daughter's wedding. So obviously I was notorious with the police department because they were my friends.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? I was at the wedding of the niece of the King of Sweden. I met the royal family. I hung out with Margie Swarovski, the Empire Swarovski and Andre of Diamonds. She was my best friend. She's dead. She wrapped herself around she was being chased and wrapped herself around a tree in Austria on her way home. I was the last person on the phone with her. I mean, I was part of this elite 1% in Europe.
Correct.
But yet, suddenly from one day to the next, our kids are taken. Something happens. Our life gets turned around from one day to the next, and we're like traumatized. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? And we're not stupid. We are not stupid. You think that you can take our kid and we're just going to walk away? Absolutely not. Right?
Correct.
And,
at one point, I even had my own brother-in-law at the second kidnapping of my son over state lines from our home in Alabama to California, who actually at one point was angry that I was fighting for my son, really angry. This is my brother-in-law, and his name is Charles Bauer, and he's from the UK. He's from an aristocratic, high-level family from the UK. And so what he says to me, literally tells me one day, this is around February 20th of 2011, he refused, he got angry. My sister said, no, we're not helping her. To the point where it got very, very volatile with their verbally. And he literally threatened her to take her child away if she helped me at all in this case.
Okay, now that's a red flag, just from my perspective. That red flag, that brother-in-law of yours, okay? Now, with everything I'm looking at here in his background, I told you there's something not right about him. And you can blame it on me, but I don't trust him. And I'm going to point the finger right now, because people who get kidnapped are usually done by somebody that's close to you or around you. Well, he's damn well close next to you, and he's married to your sister. And the fact that they try to tell you to back off, you know what?
Right.
People who tell you to stop and back off, because it happened to me too. All right? Back off. Stop. I'm not going to help you. You know how many times? And you know what? I find out that they were being threatened by my ex-husband. They were saying this to back off because their husbands were receiving emails from Dominic. So apparently, either he's getting threatened to get make you back off, or he's involved. Either way, he's part of the problem. So tell me about his background, because I'm reading a whole thing here that, we've done some research on him, and he seems to have how many AKA names? He doesn't seem to be a very honest person either.
Well, exactly. According to one of the organizations that I was a former client of, I'll just say that, and this was in a meeting in 2016, early 2016, and there's two of them to be exact. There's one in November 2015, and another one like around January, right after New Year's 2016. And I'm living out of the country. I'm on one of their bases outside the country at that point in time. And I had security around me 24/7. I mean, I couldn't, like I still do. So, but basically they said, your brother-in-law, are you aware, or can you explain why he has at least confirmed 10 aliases? And why he has a company in Colorado, there's a link in Colorado with Mr. Sullivan and his energy company. So and of course I was really surprised by that. I was more in shock to even know that at all. And at the point when they could see that I did not know that, then they sort of, because it pertains to the case, I think is basically, they explained to me later why they couldn't tell me every single name of his. And that he had a lot of companies. He had companies too. I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of any company since he's let my sister know that he's just down in his luck without any money, and he's having a tough time and barely making it.
Oh my God, he's got 10 companies, and your sister, who seems to be absolutely clueless, and I can understand that, because I'll tell you, most women are married to men, and they have really no clue who they are. You know what I mean? They really don't. And he's claiming he's poor and struggling, yet he's got 10 aliases. And how many companies that they found out about?
Numerous, but he's doing business, numerous, climate control companies, climate control or types of green, the green paper company, one of the sources said to me, and that's linked to Colorado. And then of course he's connected somehow to his family. It's the Bulmers. That's his stepfather's family. But I mean,
okay, Bulmers. Let's get to the Bulmer. Yeah. Okay, he's a Charlie Bauer, correct, or Charles Bulmer, and his stepfather is Esmond Bulmer, Bulmer, brother to H.P. Bulmer of the Bullitt Baronets. The Baronets.
Sorry, that was I think whoever, I forget which one of the people working, or they sent that to you, but it was supposed to be not Bullitt. They must have done a typo or something.
Oh, so it's
the Bulmer Baronets.
Okay, Bulmer Baronets, not Bullitt. Bulmer, yeah. Baronet, member. MP Tory Minister, member of Parliament, Esmond Bulmer, Bulmer. His brother, H.P. Bulmer, is married to Countess Caroline. Countess Caroline was divorced from Princess Diana's brother, Earl Spencer. Now we're getting into the royal family now. This guy is somehow stepfather, Parliament, UK, which of course we know how evil the royal family is. I mean, most of the people who are going to listen to this, I hope, know how evil they are. Now we've got the Countess Caroline was divorced from Prince Diana's brother, Earl Spencer. Okay. So now we got, first of all, we all know they killed Diana. Apparently she was alive. We've got Carolyn and Earl are actually kissing cousins. Okay, here we go, incest. All right, lizards usually do, they don't care about, but we're talking cousins. And now they get divorced. The brother of Princess Diana, cousin Charles Bauer, full name is Charles Julian Syndercombe. Syndercomb. Boyer.
Yeah, E at the end. They should have had that. They let me spell it for you because they misspelled it a little bit. It's S like Sam, Y like yellow, N like Nancy, E like dog, E like Edward, R like Robert, C like Charlie, O like Oscar, M like Mary, B like boy, E like Edward.
Oh, B-E-R. No, B. Syndercombe. All right.
Yes.
It's a Syndercombe. C-O-M-B. Boyer. That's
yes,
German.
And then just B-O-W-E-R.
Oh, C-O-W-E-R. Okay.
Just B like boy,
Yeah.
E like boy, O like Oscar, W like water, E like Edward, R like Robert, Bauer. Like, kind of like Bauer. So it's Syndercombe Bauer. It's an actual full name.
All right,
last name.
Syndercombe Bauer. Yeah, well, okay, so now we got an issue here. We got so many AKAs. We've got a husband that's married to your sister who's clueless, who has no connection because they're tracking her to find you. And this man doesn't seem to be anything but connected to the royal family. However, it says Tiffany Reef Boyer, marriage certificate. It says she is married to Charles Bower, B-O-W-E-R,
Correct.
not
That's correct.
Syndercombe Boyer. So
Correct.
he literally changed his name. So he's not an American citizen. He's actually UK.
That's correct. If he doesn't want to be, apparently he was offered to be a dual citizenship, and he didn't want to.
All right, so he denied dual citizen. So isn't he an illegal alien? We should be shipping him out of here. I mean, should we not get him? Okay, you don't want to be American citizen, then why be in this country? Or he doesn't want to pay the taxes to the Federal Reserve and IMF. I have no idea, but this guy is definitely crooked. In my book, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say he's lied. So you're saying that you tried to actually now then start trying to find out more, and everybody was doing information on this guy because I guess he attracted a lot of attention. So basically, he's not the real person. Total bullshit, it says here. Julian, his middle name is Syndercombe Boyer, is a long-standing aristocratic surname that goes way back, related to Syndercombe's Tregonwell. How do you pronounce it?
Tregonwell is what they said.
Tregonwell? Tregonwell, related to Al Gore. Oh, now we're getting interesting. Who's Al Gore?
Right?
What do we know about Al Gore, Tammy?
Well, I have a funny story, which is I was able to, when I was in like different parts of Central America, I had my folks had a device, and I was able to talk to them sometimes, and when it was set up by the organization, and they would do something called a bridge call, like kind of like what we're doing right now, and so that I couldn't get tracked, and where we could hear each other's voice, but she was on speakerphone with them, and I'm on speakerphone on a certain device, and then I'm in a war room basically talking. Okay, that's completely cloaked. So with that said, my sister tells a story that she's like, wanted prayer for her husband, and he was having a tough week. And I said, okay, I'll pass it on, to there was a prayer group at this where I was, remember, there's a ministry here, remember? So I said, okay, what's going on? And so my parents everybody's in this call. And she says, well, he's very upset. He's very angry this week, and he's taking it out on me. I'm frustrated. And he's very angry because he is dealing with some family issues. I'm like, okay. He says, and he's very upset still because there's something going on where he's the one that he feels like he's the one that created global warming. And as funny as that sounds, it's almost like Dr. Evil saying I'm the first one that created whatever. She was serious. I said, you're kidding. And she says, no. And he felt like he had to go up to do a presentation, some world leaders, and it was between him and Al Gore. And so he was upset because they both did their presentation and Al Gore got it instead of him. Well, the counterintelligence people came back when I was talking to them and said, well, there's only one group of people that he would be giving that presentation to, and that would be somebody in the Committee of 300. So there wouldn't be, that means he has some pretty interesting, high hierarchy, elite world ties.
Okay, but wait a minute. But wait a minute. The Committee of 300 does not meet with people that are not in the Committee of 300. They meet with people that are in the Committee of 300.
Oh, interesting. Well,
that's why it's secret committee. They don't even, this is not, you're not even really supposed to know about, but we all know now because we keep finding out about it, and but no foreign person goes into the Committee of 300 that's not already in the Committee of 300.
Wow.
That's why they're in that group to fix. They're the ones who are there to come up with the false flags, propaganda, and that whole global warming was just a story for him because he's under stress, probably because you won't give up. You're not listening. His wife's not getting through to you, and he's getting the hammer on him, and he has his job to do, and you're in the way.
Right. I definitely was in the way. That's for sure. I'm definitely somebody that.
You're giving him a headache. Well, too bad.
Right.
He's another one that's name's got to be put on the top of the hit list here, and he needs to be questioned and investigated because especially if he's in the Committee 300, you don't think the world wants to know what they're planning on all of us? Not just you, not my kids, it's everybody. That's New World Order, Committee 300. They're the ones who create the Agenda 21 and the Agenda 30.
Okay.
This is the New World Order.
Well, it started to make sense, like, with that conversation and then finding out later that he, obviously had a position with the Bulmer Foundation, from what I understand, that changed its name to Rights-Based Foundation, which is a global climate control sustainability development company. So,
and what have I heard lately? Those global climate organizations, isn't that like the Clinton Foundation, just a way to funnel money into this whole trafficking ring?
Yeah, let me explain. I actually sat with, I work with another organization I'm a client of, and they are hierarchy survivors, and they work with pretty high-level people that are ICE, and that have a security clearance, like, higher than the FBI guys. So, do I know them? No. Do I get to ever talk to them? I don't. I do what I'm doing with you right now. They interview me, discuss things, go over things with me. So, they'll change their case. So that's how it goes. So with that said, they explained to me how that works with these global climate organizations is that they actually, like the Clinton Foundation and Branson and those kind of people, those organizations, they'll put these great big huge wind turbine fans that you've seen of different various places around the country, other countries, that are kind of sustainability type of energy savers, is what they're supposed to be. And what they do is they like to put them in places, small islands, coastal regions like Mexico, and where there's hurricanes, lots of hurricanes. So what happens is they know that there's going to be a hurricane come in, it's going to wipe them out, and so they get the insurance money. So it's kind of like this, double dipping kind of type of thing. So they know they're going to get the insurance money, put them back up. But what the real motive is that in those regions, those companies, it's really lucrative to actually do child trafficking in those locations, because where you have those great big huge giant, energy turbines, fans or whatever they are, these solar turbines, you can have bunkers and bases for installations to keep children to do child trafficking, because drones and airplanes cannot fly over those areas. So
oh my God. So this is how it is. The big secret, these turbines are pretty much supposed to be there for climate change or for energy purposes.
Right. So like the Clinton Foundation and Branson's Foundation for what they're really doing with these that are climate control and divisions of those foundations that do climate control, it's really a front for human trafficking, basically.
It's a front for human trafficking because, as you heard what Tammy just said, you're not supposed to have drones or anything fly over them. And why is that? Why can't they fly over them? So then they can hide the bunkers to traffic at the kids and have their wild parties underneath. But wait a minute. Okay, here's a good question. Who did that law? Who is behind saying they can't fly over that? That's someone that they need.
And Obama enforced it in his administration. So you have the same administration really that's enforcing the same
agenda.
Right.
Wait a minute. So Obama's the one who created the law that you can't fly over them?
That don't quote me on. I'll have to go back and ask him again. I know that it has something to do with between the Clinton administration and the Obama, but pretty sure they said it was the Obama administration, but Clinton was involved because she was the Secretary of State at that time.
Oh, so
before Kerry was in.
So Hillary Clinton.
Correct, Hillary.
Boy, these Clintons, they had their agenda. It's all about trafficking children, these sick puppies. These sick. I mean, we know how sick she is, and Bill, and Podesta, and Soros, but I mean, I didn't know about that either. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't know, but they can easily go look. The whole idea is, guess what? Look this up. We want to wake up people to realize that anybody can do investigation on this case alone. Tammy's case, everybody go crazy. Make phone calls. Do the research. Because right now we need people to find Jonah. And we're giving you all the pieces of the puzzle now, and we need some real good pedo hunters out there that do this and have a passion to crack this case. Put some pressure on the door, make calls, start bombarding these people and tell them that the joke is up, the secret is out, and we all know about it. Because otherwise, we're not going to find Jonah. We're not going to find a lot of kids that are missing. I mean, I've been getting stories that a lot of them are hiding. They're being held against their will under the Getty. The Getty in California, Tammy. I mean, there's millions of children over there, and I don't see any FBI raids. I don't see any. Well, first of all, we know CIA only protects them. That's just a cover. That's their trafficking ring is the CIA. So that's why, NSA is just to make sure that they can track us so we don't fight them. I mean,
that's correct.
They're hired by the elite. They're set up by the elite. The whole Bush, Clinton, Obama. I mean, we've got all the way back to, Watergate, which is Pizzagate.
Right.
Hillary was fired from that because she was so evil, but yet she wanted that book of all the pedos. It was actually Pizzagate. Watergate is Pizzagate. So we know that they're doing a lot of horrible things, but we're not going to go there right now. We're trying to be very loving, caring, and we're starting to realize that our only weapon is love, and even the worst of the worst, we need to start sending unconditional love because these people are far from evil. They're not even human.
Exactly. We just have to keep praying for them.
We need to pray for them because eventually people do turn good, and that we're not going to fight with guns because we're not going to have a bunch of mothers outside the Getty firing at that building. They protected it with spiritual warfare and even physical. I mean, that's not how we're going to win. They soak up all our fear, and we're not fearful anymore, are we, Tammy? We're warriors. We got some angel wings growing, like massive, guardian
Right.
angels, masters, ascended masters. I mean, right now we've gone through such a spiritual, with all the knowledge you're getting, these are the things we're trying to get out. This is important, your story here.
Yes.
But I need to let people know not to be upset when they listen to this, not get angry,
Right.
not get upset, don't get depressed, because that's how they feed off of these little kids. The more
Negativity, that's true.
they really do. Now, and I don't mean, when I say unconditional love, I mean unconditional love. And I know we all talk about it and we say, oh, I love you, I love you. But I mean seriously from your heart chakra. Because right now these people have been infiltrated over a planet for, I mean, eons. They've been here. They're Luciferian, satanic, sick people. And a lot of us know this already, but the whole thing about light workers and getting, it's actually, love is the most powerful thing. And it actually is, it could kill. It can kill. So if you really want, don't get mad at Tammy's story, do the research, look at it as a loving exploration of bringing light to those evil people that you're going to help find us, for us. Right, Tammy?
Yes, yes, and if I may also interject, also I'm really, the pedo hunters, I'm really asking for any kind of help, you know, the Kelly's 10 shirts out there, because I do know for a fact, all the way to Fiona Barnett, who knows I'm dealing with these cases about CIA global trafficking it's really the above parent ring above this UHT ring, this ring that has immunity and that spans from, you know, all of California. There's many of these people, they're all in official positions or law enforcement. There's companies, even down to ice cream companies that are, you order a flavor, and it's really you're ordering a child. So it's very, very incestuous as far as how their families and people, they know each other, they're all involved, like the photos. They're just one entity. There's tons and tons of people that are involved in this ring. And again, what's interesting that I learned too, working with hierarchy survivors and different, even mid-level survivors that have been trafficked through the courts, taken from their families. I want to mention this is something that a lot of people don't know why they're being targeted or how they're being targeted. And one of the main things I learned was, and I know Fritz, I've talked to him, this is something he even discusses, Springermeyer discusses in many of his books. And every survivor knows this. Everybody in the hierarchy, the brotherhood, they know what they're doing. They know they're targeting people with certain lineages, certain bloodline lineages. Their word for it is called bloodline. I'm just going to call it lineages. And again, what that means is that it's something that I want to ask for help out there. This is a lineage case because of the level of it and the millions and millions of dollars that they spent to get my son. This happens to even like people like even Ruby Dillon, another child, her daughter's Lexi Dillon, same, a lot of similarities, the money they spent. So if any mothers or fathers or grandparents out there that have experienced something similar with the corruption that they're, you know, that's so, I mean, there's just absolutely over the top public corruption at every single level, maybe look into something called bloodline or lineage in your own background. And that's what I found out. And sure enough, I had somebody in an organization, another one that I was a client of, who said to me, asked me point blank and said, do you have some kind of letters in your family? And letters patent. And I said, well, yes. This was October of 2014. And they said, well, they took your son to do with these letters. And at the time, I want to stress, I did not understand what that means. All I could, at the time in my, clueless mind and what he was really trying to say, all I could think was, well, I don't have those letters. That's silly. Like, why would they take him to do with that? I just didn't ask the right question at the time because I didn't know that I didn't know to ask the right question.
Well, you didn't know really what they were really taught, but they thought you might have known. But why don't you explain it? A letters patent. What does it mean?
Letters patent is something that is handed down. It means that you come from a certain lineage that you were someone in your family or that line of family were entitled in nobility in maybe a royalty of some sort, whether it be king, queen, countess, nobility, baron, whatever it was. It means that you're entitled, and there's some kind of heritage there. And sure enough, it was something I'd known since I was a little girl. I was educated. I was made to know that I was from the House of Bourbon and the House of Orleans, that I was a direct descendant from the last king of France. So I was made to know that since I was literally, like 4 or 5 years old. And this is something even my sister does remember. We've talked before. And so that's something even our whole family knew. So that my grandmother was somebody who was entitled, that she was the one that was, that the letters patent were given to her mother, and they came literally from Europe when they came, over to the U.S. And some of the other family went to Belgium, and some of the others went to South Africa at the time of Napoleon. So again, this goes down to lineage lines. There's another house I was just told about another part of the family that has letters patent on the ring side of the family that I'm related to. And that means we're from the House of Hanover, which is connected to the British family, and to the House of Monaco. So those are things that line I was not aware of until recently. So what they'll do is track people. They can do it through a hospital, I just learned. I was just in a debriefing this week, and they discussed that they can, they'll track the family. My grandmother, there was a book on her family, the federal government has. My son right now is listed as a high-value asset. Don't know who put him there or why, but that's a fact. So
Okay,
I'm
so
trying
when
to
you
understand.
say that Jonah, your son, that was internationally trafficked and ended up in Australia, is listed as a high level
It's called
asset,
HBA is what they call it. Or the State
HBA,
Department.
HBA.
Yes.
So, and do you have now a definition of what that means?
Well, I was told it means high value asset. And what the thing that's interesting is that my son left on fraudulent, deported illegally as if he wasn't a U.S. citizen. He left on fraudulent passport papers that literally said he wasn't even a U.S. citizen. So I have those papers. So I know I have papers at the State Department, a good side of the State Department that was helping me, said, yeah, this is now international kidnapping. Stop calling this legal kidnapping. So he was put, but somebody that was also in the CIA working in the State Department on another side called Children's Matters, somehow somebody out of John Kerry's office when he was a former Secretary of State under Obama in 2013, they listed him as that. I'm looking for help to find out why, other than the lineage I just told you, but who was he an interest to is the real question. Who did he get sold to in the black market adoption? I know that they'll put him somewhere in the bloodline, I found out. That's where he would get adopted to, and he would become something called a hierarchy child. So those are, I now understand that much of what I'm dealing with and what kind of trafficking this is. There's different levels of trafficking.
So, in other words, some royal family in Europe, or it could be Monaco, it has to be somewhere in your lineage here, has your son.
It's definitely something in the lineage. I mean, they told me too, he could be, used as a doppelganger, a decoy, or, something with the CIA program through, if he has any, they look for spiritual giftings of the child. So if there's any of that running in the family, and yes, there was that. He definitely had a very high IQ. They look for that.
That's right.
He was somebody who definitely had unique gifts to see things. So that's one of the reasons they said they would have taken him, and that runs in the family. So from my grandmother, from my mother's side, and then I found out my father's side has there are Sinclairs on that side, which I was not aware of that. I finally had people come forward that said, they were Sinclair Oil, they were half partners. So they are looking for children with a lot of different connected
It's
lineage
money.
lines that are powerful.
Tammy, it's also
Yeah.
not just his gifts of intuition and,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. A lot of people who, like us, do research because we try to find God. God, why did you do this to us? And you start seeking God, and he seems to answer when you ask him. This is, you know, it's divine
what's
intervention, but I'm
Right.
looking at St. Clair Oil. Everybody from royal bloodlines have land. They have property they're owed to. It's like karma. You've got to give it back. Got to keep it there. They don't want karma. And it's got to do with these gifts. But these gifts are only given to God's children.
Interesting.
Not evil. Evil does not have this gift. But do you know that those that born with the gift of artistic ability, they can visually see what they're about to create? That's manifesting because you actually see it in your vision. You can actually astral travel. These are gifts that are given because we're connected directly to God. It's almost like called a light worker. They don't see things. They're not easily convinced by lies. We see through truth. We can sense people when they're telling lies. We can finish a person's sentence. We have this strong ability of knowledge of, we just know without knowing why we know. We just happen to know. High IQ in school. We get it really fast. We just, I don't know. But they're scared of people like that. The evil people, the ones that are like the queen and the royals that are running the show now, the evil people, the Queen of England, who literally runs everything, the big witch, the pedophile queen. I mean, they've been after her too. She went into hiding or something like that. I don't know, but I mean, she's a pedophile, pedo, the whole entire family. They fear people with gifts.
Yeah.
And that's why they need to, especially those that are born with it strong, they need to break them down. They need to control them. Otherwise, they will be the ones that God sent to take them down. It's literally the only thing I can come up with at this point, because, I mean, this is not something I'm just coming up with off the top of my head. I've done enough research. Yeah. You've done enough research. You've had a team. I've had a team. People in 2 countries. People now all over the world, all doing research together, and these drops to even get no more. But in the bottom line, if you've got this gift, you've got this gift, and this gift comes from the Creator. And these people are so evil, they're literally satanic, Luciferian, Jesuit, 33 Masons. It's like the hand, the 5, extensions of the fingers are all together, but they've got one hand. I was just listening to a video, of course, and I really did grasp everything and understand it. They need to control. That's why my sons, too, they were able to do things way earlier than most, and they got indoctrined into this Illuminati. And that's what they do.
Well, if I may interject again, speaking of that organization or whatever they are, speaking of that, I'm saying, hey, I got my hand waving up in the air saying, any help in this would be really helpful to go down. Obviously, these are serious rabbit holes here, but speaking of that organization, I got my own letters, different from letters patent, in the year of 2007 before I had my son, and it was from, I found out later, from the Illuminati. They were Air France envelopes. My father got his first one January 2017. My mom got letters when I was born, also, so different than any of her sisters or relatives. So there's something going on, and they let you know, we're watching you, we've chosen you, just some really eerie things. You're going to meet world leaders. We have, and they're pretty, they know specific things about you that it's like, personal things and accomplishments. It's almost like someone stalked you your whole life. It's very eerie, I have to tell you, that they knew what they knew. And so I know, so that is an entity somehow that's involved. And as crazy as that sounds, it does sound bizarre, but it is a factor that this is part of what happened to us, and I don't have all the answers. I don't know why completely.
Well, they want you to join them. Tammy, you were supposed to join them. You're part of this line. The only way to control your enemy is to keep them closer. So what they do is they drag you in, like these Hollywood stars. They start seducing them with the money and the fame, and then they got locked in, but they don't realize they got to do some really sick stuff to stay in there. You know what I mean? Like blood sacrifices, pedophilia. I mean, even, I mean, I don't want to go there because I don't want to scare anybody, but, you know, just look it up. Pizzagate, Pedogate, MK Ultra victims. They literally need to keep them under control, which is your lineage. You got to keep you under control because they fear us. They fear anyone with this bloodline. So they have to get you to join them.
Interesting. Gosh.
So that's the letter. So you can easily, they start telling you, this is how much money you'll make. That's why this Hollywood, Hollygate or Pedogate Pedo, it's because you can see these crazy people, how they go from normal kids, these kid singers, to looking like the Wicked Witch. They start acting and flipping out. Their eyes are going up and down. I mean, they literally create alter egos because they've gone through this conditioning. But that is what you pay for. You sold your soul to the devil. And there's no way for you to get out of it. Once you're in it, you're in it. They do not let you get free. So that's how they control. By money, they'll blackmail you, and you're in fear because they threaten to kill your family. I mean, and so you're forced to have sex with a kid, and they'll videotape it, and then they use it as blackmail for the rest of your political career. So if you don't do what they tell you to do, they axe you. They have an entire community, a world that we don't even have access to. They live in a life that is completely above and beyond what we all here, the sheep on this planet, is living. But that is the only way. And you didn't want to join them, Tammy. Your father ignored. They tried to get you when you were younger. You escaped. They decided to back off a little bit. Maybe somebody else was on a top of priority, but your son ended up they're like, well, we're not going to let this go any further. We need her son.
That makes sense, Tina. Do you remember I was really upset and I called you? This has been a while ago. This is in March. At the end of March in 2013, I called you. I was in DC and I was with my dad, and because I also had a federal filing I was doing there as I was putting in paperwork, working with the State Department. So I had paperwork and evidence to constantly. You remember I was there, I practically was living there. Is what it was. So that's why they have jurisdiction right now too, because I really was living there. But at the time, I'm going back and forth to Alabama. But I had walked into the federal courthouse and I was doing a filing, and there was the U.S. Marshal's office at this.
Hold on, Tammy. These stupid trucks keep coming by. It's like almost like they know what we're doing. Shut up, for Christ's sakes. No more quiet. Not a noise. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, when you walk into the federal courthouse, D.C., this is the court of claims. There is the U.S. Marshal's office is to the right-hand side. Now, I was working with the U.S. Marshals, too. I had just gotten a case open with them, and with, of course, the head of D.C., his name is Tom, with missing exploited children. And he found out he was duped by California, missing exploited children, and Alabama, missing exploited children. So as we're talking, this one, he was like a big security for the U.S. Marshals, big, huge black guy, looked like a linebacker, and actually all of them did. But anyway, we got to know each other pretty well over like a 3-month period of time, and we would joke and laugh. My dad and I, we were in suits. He thought we were lawyers, but it was, and because I was filing info for her. And so one day he asked me as I'm leaving, it was a Friday, and he says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Out of nowhere. And I kid you not, the guy, it says if somebody called him and, he switched on me out of nowhere. It was so bizarre. said, what kind of case do you have? And I didn't want to elaborate, so I just said, oh, I'm fighting a human trafficking case. He said, and that's all he said. And basically, yada yada, we talked for a few minutes, and he says, I want to tell you something. You know what I think? He says, I think they took your son because they couldn't get you. Now, my dad's a few feet away. He sees me, and I turn chalk white. I mean, the blood drained out of my face. And I just stood there shocked because I never told the guy that I had a child, let alone that I had a son. And he said to me, he said, they took him, that's what I think. I think they took him because they couldn't get you. Trade places with them. Would you trade places with them? And I'm telling you, I was so dumbfounded.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is, I mean,
angry.
I would have just turned, I mean, yeah. So basically you're confirming what I just said.
You know, I called you. I was really upset.
You were so upset, but at that time I was like, you know, at that point in time, Tammy, I didn't know half of this. I didn't know half of what I know today, and neither did you. I mean, we know a lot more now than we did before, but now all that makes sense.
I didn't know any. I didn't understand.
I mean, you told me you got the letters from the Illuminati. You ignored one, then they sent you another one. They sent one to your friend in California who is in Hollywood, which is a movie director.
Right.
I mean,
it's just exactly. Yes, she got one too, and that's the only reason I found out. So it was really fun, and so that's why I didn't know who. They didn't say we're the Illuminati. They don't do that, but they made it very, very clear that they were world leaders and that they were going to fly me somewhere, and that they were some very, very high level secret society that's been around for 400 years or something crazy.
Oh yeah, that's why. Oh yeah, this secret society has been around back to the Atlanteans. Okay, that's how old. I mean, they've been here a long.
That I didn't know.
No, this is we're going much. I've done a lot of research recently on this. It goes a lot further, Tammy. We can have a discussion later offline. But see, I was already in the Illuminati. I was married into it, so I didn't need a letter. They got me through marriage. They hunted me down for 7 years until I finally agreed to marry Dominic. But I had no idea. I just thought it was a guy who was just like in love with me. But it took them 7 years. They finally got me that way. So they didn't get you. You weren't going to marry. You got a kid now, which they, of course, your line would have been right there. It ends right there, right? And what about your other nephew? They got her, your sister, through him, this Charles Boyer. They got her through marriage.
Didn't think about that. Wow, that's okay.
Same way I was taken by marriage, so did your sister. You weren't getting married. You weren't you weren't marrying somebody that for them. You already had a son. What else are they gonna do? And do they trade you? If they would have traded you, they wouldn't have let your son go.
No, that's what
absolutely not. No, they would have just impregnated you with somebody else's genes and forced you to have a kid.
Oh my God.
You would have been a sex slave for them. Another birth mother.
Right,
another breeder. My own lawyer said, boy, this man doesn't love you after 1 year of reading. He goes, this guy never loved you. He said he used you as a birth mother. I didn't know. I almost fell off my chair. I was like, what do you mean a birth mother? Now all of this makes sense.
That makes sense now, too. That definitely. So that is starting. It's another piece of the puzzle for me, just a breeder. And that's just scary. That's just,
But he knew it. Now that's another one we need to put on his list. What is his name? He directly, clearly admitted to you that he knows what's going on. What's his name? He needs to be put on this list.
He was, who he looks like? He looks identical to, what's the black guy's name that's on Good Morning America? Lester, oh gosh, he's on, I can't think of his last name, but he's on Good Morning America. He looks identical to that guy, but imagine that guy like the size of a linebacker, like huge, like over like 6'5", imagine, or whatever he was. and like the size of a refrigerator, seriously. And I don't remember his name, but I know that, I mean, my dad was
Michael,
right there. I mean,
Good Morning America is Michael Strahan.
the black guy.
Strahan. Michael
Okay,
Stratton.
that's the black.
So he, you sure it's not him? They always put those people in media positions, you know. Most of these media people on NBC and ABC and, I mean, they're CIA agents.
Right. Well, I'm finding
They're
out.
all
I
CIA
did find out.
agents.
Well, some of them CIA. I did
Because
find
that's how
that
they
out.
keep the information from getting to the public. They don't want stories like yours and mine or millions of others, all my sister warriors out there. They don't want these things out online. I mean,
Right.
so, I mean, we're already on a 1 hour and 47 minutes, almost 2 hours. We're going to have to cut this in part 1 and part 2. I don't know how we're going
Right.
to cut this down. But, Tammy, you got to find out his name because what department was he in?
He worked for security for the U.S. Marshals at the Court of Claims. When you, like, literally, it's the U.S. Marshals is right in the, I mean, when you walk in the Court of Claims, the federal court right there in D.C., it is literally the front doors to the U.S. Marshal's office is right to your right. Once you go through these security, these are like, they look like, you know, you go through the airport, it's, you know, like every court, the big, go through security, you take your phone, they lock it up in a federal court anyways, and they give you a, you know, so yeah, it's right there to the right, and he was one of the U.S. Marshal security is what he was.
So, and it was just you passing in and out, filing stuff, and out of the blue, he just turned around and said, "What are you doing?" Yeah, somebody called him in.
I mean, it was like that. We had already gone through. I already done my filing. I was leaving. I was with my dad, Earl Reese, and we were walking out of the courthouse at that time. And it was closing time at the courthouse at the end of the day, like 4 something. And he says, he grabbed me by the elbow and said, "Hey, come here. Now, this is someone my dad and I have cut up with, you know, him and some of the other, you know, security. We got to know them pretty well. We were in and out of there, in and out of there.
Oh, yeah, I do remember this. You called me very upset. You were running. That's why you were late at the FBI office, right? You were there filing for. That's it.
Yes.
That was the day.
Yes.
I remember. I'm calling you hysterically, telling me, "Damn it, we were supposed to go together to the FBI office, and instead I ended up with somebody else going, and you were late because you were there filing forms." So, District of Columbia District Court, E. Barrett, Pretty Man, U.S. Courthouse. Is that usually? This is the U.S. Marshal Service. It's actually called Pretty Man, U.S. I think that's odd. Pretty Man, U.S. Courthouse. That's kind of weird, don't you think? Just the name.
That is weird.
Pretty Man. Like, that looks like the little boys club pedophilia ring already named Pretty Man. So, I mean, what do? Send all the pretty guys that are sex slaves there? 333 Constitution Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. I mean, I seriously,
Nice address.
East Barrett, Pretty Man. I think that, and the phone number is 202-353-0600 or 9499. It's just, no, he's, I mean, you have to understand, Tammy, every single level of government is owned and run by them. That's why this is very big. It's huge, but the only way to get in there is to start exposing them and flood them with unconditional love. And we need somebody to make calls and ask questions and track and make the rest of the connection. Because right now you still don't know where he is. The last you've seen is, so we got Australia, right? Now we're thinking, you know what? If everything that we said, we just probably said the truth. We know we're exposing the truth, but I'm saying this final part, if you're going to control the bloodlines since birth, or you rope them in, I mean, this Hollywood people, those are just slaves. Those are just decoys. That's to keep the public from looking at what they're really doing. All right.
Right.
They own the
That's right.
media to keep people or whistleblowers from exposing the truth to the masses to wake them up to find out that we're really run by pedophilia, satanic, Luciferian, Zionist, Freemasons, and
CIA.
Jesuits. I mean, it's all these different factions, but they're all run by the same hand. And it's really Lucifer, satanic, sick people that really don't even belong on this planet.
I agree.
Because we're food for them, and our kids are
Right.
food, and it won't stop until we start really, coming out. No whistleblowers. Hey, Trump has a whistleblower executive order to protect us. So the thing is, Tammy, what is it that you want to tell everybody right now? I mean, this is pretty much.
Okay, I want to say this first of all. Again, I am reaching out for help. I'm asking for any help in investigating the people that were involved. I know the Sullivan guy is now. I know he's military CIA. I already know that. So anybody who is like Steve Kelly or anybody like that, I do now know that's why him and the transgender man who works with aerospace has also got a high security clearance. So that's what really we're dealing with, people that are working with certain military that are involved in child trafficking and pedophilia and child pornography in this ring that are CIA. So now I know that with the people I'm dealing with, anybody in those that are whistleblowers from that realm, I'm asking for further investigation. I know that there is others that are involved in London with something called CGHQ.
CGSQ? Say it louder.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's called, I'm sorry, I make a correction. It's G like George, C like Charlie, H like Howard, Q like Quarter. And I know that there's a connection. I was surveilled in certain places by that organization. They're connected to the bad part of the NSA. And so I'm asking for, since I'm dealing with that level, and obviously my goal is to expose what has happened to us and to ask for people and help in those realms who have that experience, who have that knowledge, who can get that information and can help find my son, help expose what they did, and bring this case forward. I'm asking for help me save Jonah, please, and to expose really what happened and unravel in those areas where those are tucked away areas, and people coming from those realms are the only people that have the ability to reach up and actually open doors and really pull down the truth. And I'm a truther. That's what I'm here to do. And I know that's part of my purpose and my mission in this situation is to get the truth out and to stop this from happening to anybody else. For what's happening to them right now. A lot of parents that are going through this. I mean, what if this opened a door to get lots of other children out just through Jonah's case, or even for Ruby Dillon with Lexi Dillon? So I think it's really important that what if we come together, we're unified. These people have diplomatic immunity. That's why they don't get arrested. That's what immunified means in this kind of trafficking ring, is because they are above the law. They have been immunified. They have immunity from prosecution. And I know that I did find out that it's through our American and British embassies, that the group I'm dealing with, that's where their diplomatic immunities have come from, an Australian embassy. So this is what we're up against, and I'm asking for help with anybody who can help, that are pedo hunters that can jump in and literally jump in and partner with us and open the doors divinely.
Yeah, and you know what? There's NSA and CIA and FBI whistleblowers. We have Snowden. We have, Assange. Well, he's not. He was WikiLeaks, but we've had whistleblowers. We've got, a person who I've just been listening to, who apparently is going to be interviewing me. He was an SA. I mean, we need the people that are in it right now that get their hearts get turned, like they,
Right.
that somehow good flows into them and they realize what they're doing, and that they turn and decide to be good instead of bad and work for them, because it's going to be an insider, Tammy, that's going to be able to help you. It's obvious that I think from right now, after speaking with you and getting the whole complete story instead of bits and pieces, I think it's going to need help from the inside. That's going to help
Correct.
find Jonah, because they know exactly where he is. They have access to this information. Maybe
Exactly. That's what
even
I'm
the
asking.
people who took him may turn around and see the light and see that this is not long term, that eventually they're going to lose because we're winning. And then maybe they, God forgives, to repent.
Right, and they give it back.
and
Give it back. I'm
and to
asking.
come and
Give it
be
back.
good and see God's love and do what's right by these kids. I mean, to stand there and watch what this is being done to them. I mean, money deteriorates. I mean, you will have to pay the price and come back, and you probably end up being, reincarnated as one of those kids, and that will happen to you. So you're going to have to live through what you're doing now and seeing what's being done to these children. It's going to come back. It's called karma. And
Yes, I believe it'll come back to them.
and they'll be born into one of these, satanic rituals, and they'll get sacrificed as soon as they're born, or who knows what they're going to do, but they will pay the price. They will not come back. So let them do the right thing. We need people that are in the CIA, inside the NSA, to do exactly what a lot of whistleblowers have done. And I'm sure that this message is going to get out to one of them or more, and that they may just understand, the seriousness of this and see how horrible this is to do. It's very inhumane and it's not right. And they may just come out and help you, because I mean, we can connect these pictures, but if somebody in law enforcement are involved and they're all involved, I mean, it's going to have to be from within. And there are
I
people that are
agree.
out there talking to people inside. They may not have all come out. I'm sure we've got lots of good guys in there. That we still have patriots. We still have people with hearts. And we have people with a conscience. I mean, literally, you have to have a conscience. Well, Tammy, I got to go. I got to go teach.
Okay, thank you.
And
Thank you so much for your time today. I
and
appreciate
I'm
it.
so glad that I finally got the entire story. And we're gonna say a big prayer. We're gonna pray, Tammy. Pray that we are the warriors that are here to do something about it. Because I can tell you right now, I will never stop, and I know you won't either. I love you. Love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Bye,
All right,
honey.
blessings.
Yes, that was, again, Tila Melo. And I actually will have her on the show. I know you guys heard me say it before. I presented a few presentations, documentaries of other people, just to break in their information. And I'm going to have them on the show still. It's just a lot of production is still going on. A lot of TV stuff, a lot of radio stuff, going on tour, and having a CD mixed, my first album, and, moving things right along. But hey, at the end of the day, all I can be is just me. Same old V. So I want to thank you for supporting the show, and be sure to tune in next week. I'm your host, V. Keep it real. Take the red pill.